Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and today we are going to do a character guide on Yuna. I know this is another character from the current batch that a lot of people are going to be interested in. She is one of the bursts I did recommend in my burst guide, so if you haven't checked out my burst guide, feel free to do that. I do those once a month. So in this video, we are going to talk about Yuna's best artifacts, Yuna's best spheres, and then we are also going to look at a little showcase and kind of explain how she works. Now, Yuna does have a couple of interesting things about her before we jump into everything here. The first thing is she does have an additional weapon that can be purchased with power stones, or power tokens, I should say. So in the power token shop, there is a rod here called the Amber Rod. Now, if you're someone like me that you just have like tons of power tokens that you're never going to use, you might as well just grab it. The effect honestly isn't that good. So like, if you're someone like a newer player and you don't have a lot of power tokens, I actually would not recommend picking this up. All it does is it makes just her normal Brave attack Thunder Element, which her normal Brave attack is something you're never using anyways. And then it gives her a 25% chance to buff her speed, which is like, speed is a stat that isn't really a huge deal in DFFOO. We don't really talk about speed very much. I mean, it matters for some characters, but like, it's never like, oh my gosh, I need to increase my speed. Like, it's not going to make a huge difference, and it's only 25% chance. So literally, you're not really getting anything off the stats. The reason why you might want it, it's actually a pretty nice looking weapon. I'm actually going to keep that equipped to my Yuna. I like the way that that looks. So if you want it for the weapon gloss, definitely pick it up for the weapon gloss. But other than that, you don't really need to be picking that one up, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our artifacts. Now, the artifacts are the other thing interesting with Yuna. Yuna is what we call one of the cursed artifact characters. I believe there are 6 of them total in the game. Basically, when DFFOO got to the point where they're starting to do bigger reworks, they actually explored the idea of doing it through the artifacts instead of just giving it to you in a kit. In JP, people really didn't like this because back when they introduced these, you didn't get guaranteed orange artifacts. There was no Moogle Pass. It was very frustrating to get these. And you could just spend hours and hours and hours re-rolling for these. So they were very unpopular. So after the 6 characters, they stopped doing them and they just gave characters the reworks, which makes a lot more sense. But the artifacts on these cursed characters are way more important because they play a way bigger role. You're going to notice they do way more than normal artifacts do. So the 2 cursed artifacts for Yuna, and typically on a cursed artifact character, you usually want them both, but not always. For other cursed artifact characters, some of them just give them like a skill use, which that doesn't matter anymore. Like, you don't run out of skills, so then you would maybe put something else. I think Vivi is one of those where like he has one that's just fire +1. Well, you're not going to run out of fires, right? So put attack 108 there. But for Yuna, both of hers are relevant. So what you want to try to get with Yuna, it's really important to roll her artifacts. You want to get charged Isuna boost and buff attack boost all. So charge Isuna boost gives her an extra use of Isuna, which that's not a huge deal. You're not going to run out. But it raises her max brave by 40%. That is a huge max brave chunk. And if you times that by 3, that's 120% max brave. And that's why, the reason why that's so big is because instead of Yuna getting a rework, they put it into this, right? So that's stats that she just should have that you have to get on her artifacts instead of them just giving it to you. That's why people didn't like it, right? So you really need that because that's a ton of max brave off the table if you don't get that. And then buff attack boost all raises party's max brave and attack by 10%. So like basically if you have that times 3, that's a 30% max brave and attack buff to the party that you're missing out on if you don't have it. So you really want to just try to get both of those if you can, really. Like, sure, attack 108, max brave, those are okay secondaries, but you need the cursed artifacts for that. And if some of you are wondering, well, how do I get them? They just re-roll like any artifacts. Like, you just roll the artifacts normally, and they can pop up, and you want to try to get them. Mog Pass does really help with that, right? For spheres, let's go into sphere zone here. So she's got 2 C slots. She is an encouragement armor, so I recommend you just throw 2 Paladin Cecils on. Paladin Cecil is really where you want to go because she's a battery character. Paladin Cecil is going to calculate in and really help the battery. It's very, very good because of her encouragement armor. So get that. If you absolutely don't have Paladin Cecil, then Maria's probably a pretty decent one because it is a recovery orb, which Yuna does do recovery. And it increases max brave or attack and int brave. And int brave is pretty good on Yuna because she's a little bit about battery. The D slot's a little bit more flexible. Just anything that's going to increase party attack. So I put Saz on mine. I think Waka, she would work for Waka because she does provide a lot of buffs. So I think Waka's could work. Cisne's a new one that just came out that could work. Queen, I think, is another one that could work. So just look and see what you got for D slots that increases party attack, right? All right, so that being said, let's hop into the showcase. Now, my unit is not green. I'm actually sitting at 2 out of 3 ingots. So I am going to get a 3rd ingot, and I am going to green her. But right now, she's sitting at 0 ingots. So her burst is plus. I just haven't put ingots in yet. I do plan to do that, but we can showcase her just fine without the green and kind of talk about what she's doing. So let's go ahead and hop in. We're doing our good old buddy Irvines here. We'll get Freya up in the air, and then we'll just kind of do our thing. Yuna is actually a very easy character to play, and she's a very, very good support character. So she is a great character if you're someone that's newer, you're lacking supports. I do highly recommend picking Yuna up. I do think she's a character you do want to green, though, if you are going to invest in her. The reason why is her burst effect gives like a lot of the good party auras. And you don't want Yuna to be your main burst phase. Like, you want a DPS to be your burst phase. So you want the green so you can just use her burst attack and get the buff. And then let someone else in the party do all the damage, right? Alright, so with Yuna, it's very easy. You always want to start with Cheer. You notice it's very low usage, but it's very powerful. So Cheer is going to do a huge battery, a huge heal. So you open with it because you can see we got some 12 turn buffs that we want to have on right away. So you get that up right away. It's a free turn, right? Now, you're not going to be spamming Cheer. From this point forward, you're only using it to refresh the buffs or when you need that mass heal, right? After you use Cheer, you have Isuna. Now, Isuna is a non-damaging attack. It literally basically wipes your debuffs off, and it also extends the party's buffs. So if your parties have buffs that can be extended, you could spam Isuna just to give them more turns on those buffs, so that's kind of nice as well. But Isuna and Cheer, after this first turn, they're basically just situational. Like, depending on the situation, you're going to use them, right? She does have her LD, so if you wanted to open with the LD, you could do that. If you wanted to. The other thing I'll talk about with Yuna here, though, is she has an overhead. So you see she has a 5-turn overhead. That is Valifor, which is like her summon. So what you want to do is, you notice my Brave Attack and HP Attack are Sonic Wings and Energy Ray ++. Those are actually her main attacks. That's what she does damage with, and that comes from the overhead. The overhead comes from her EX. So the EX would refresh the overhead. Let me double check. I don't know that. Yeah, the LD does not. Oh, it does. Yeah. So the LD also refreshes Valifor. So you can get Valifor from the LD or the EX. So either one. So since we already have it on, we wouldn't necessarily have to use the LD right away. So let's Energy Ray. Energy Ray you want to think of as the AoE attack, and Sonic Wings you want to think of as the single target attack. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna kind of just, to make this easy. Oh shoot, I haven't even been watching the orb here. Okay. We got to quickly get into Freya here and get her up in the air. Okay, we're in trouble. Okay. Let's get Freya up in the air quickly. Quickly now. Alright. So Freya's LD should keep the... I think we should be fine here. So I think we can do this. That should tick the orb, because that should be a ranged attack. Tick, yep. And then we get her up in the air. And then it should tick down the 1, but then her follow-ups are going to start kicking. So I think we're okay. Because this will actually tick down, yeah, but then the sphere... Okay, we're good now. Whew, that was a little scary. Okay. So let's go ahead and just do a big attack here, and then we'll get into Yuna, and then we'll be good. Okay. Perfect. Yep. Do that, and then we're going to... Yeah, we literally got to that just in time. Okay. Yuna, what we're going to do is we're going to use our burst here. I guess since we got the free cheer, that actually comes from Rem. No, I won't. Let's just get it. Let's not be cute here. Let's just get into the burst phase. I'm not even going to mess around. Okay, so we'll hop into the burst phase. So like I said, her burst effect, it's just like one of those big burst effects that does a lot of auras that really help. So Yuna's whole thing is she is a very good aura bot that's providing auras to the party. Now the big thing with her though is part of her BT, so her LD and her BT buff are like two of the biggest ones that are giving you the stuff you want to the party. The problem is though, is they only buff your party while they have no debuffs. So Yuna's got Asuna, and then she's also got the LD. Those both completely cleanse your buffs. So the LD, basically if you need to refresh Valifor and you don't have your EX up, or if you need to basically get rid of debuffs. And then Energy Nova will also refresh the LD buff. So that's pretty much what you're using it for. So you can see Valefor gets refreshed. If we had debuffs on, it would have wiped them. And then we're refreshing the LD buff. So that's what you're doing with that. Okay. So that's the LD attack. And then we'll show you what the EX. So this is Energy Blast. This also refreshes Valefor. And then it just does a really nice battery on it. And then you get a different buff from it. So once again, and it does pretty good damage, right? For Yuna, now considering, you know, Yuna's not going to come out here and look like Prish, right? But Yuna's mainly a support character. Her damage isn't crazy, but it's good enough, right? And we can just show off Asuna. You can see Asuna, it would just be like little battery, little cleanse, and you're good to go. Doesn't do damage. We only got damage because Freya's up in the air. And then basically the difference between Sonic Wings and Energy Ray, these are the attacks you're mainly using, right? When you're just on a normal turn, you don't need one of your situational attacks. You're just bumping between those two. So Energy Ray, which I showed earlier, watch this now. So it's an AoE, and then watch Yuna's Brave. So she dumps all of her Brave, and she's down to 0. We got refreshed at the end due to other battery things, but she did go down to 0. Sonic Wings is more single target, but she fills her Brave afterwards. So if you don't want her to get broken, that's the other time you would use Sonic Wings. So here's Sonic Wings. You'll see her Brave never like dipped to 0. She just like stayed up there. So Sonic Wings is your safer attack if you're worried about getting broken. And then here's the BT attack. This should do decent damage. It's not going to be nearly as good because I don't have her green, but when she's green, this will be the typical, like, probably 1 mil AoE type attack, which you would get from a burst attack. Actually, was that 2 mil AoE? That was pretty good. Yeah, that was pretty good damage. If that was 2 mil. I don't think that was 200k. I think that was 2 mil. Pretty good damage there. Okay, so that's basically it. Like, pretty simple, pretty easy. We'll hop into her one more time. And I'll just kind of recap kind of like the way you play her, just in case you want, you know, lost it already or just want to refresh her. But yeah, she's very easy to play. It's very easy. So we'll just recap quick here. We'll get Freya back up in the air quick. Yeah, go ahead and jump it up. And then we'll just have Rem pass it on. She'll pass the baton, so to speak. All right, so Rem, let's pass it on. Swap to Yuna. Okay. So once again, it's very easy to play Yuna. She starts with like all of her buffs up, so you don't have to use the LD right away. You can sit on the LD, you can sit on the EX. The big thing is open up with cheer, get your cheer buff going, huge battery, huge heal. And then you literally, I mean, here's the thing, it's not like you're going to run out of skill uses. If you just wanted to ramp up and go into LD right away, you could, it doesn't hurt. But yeah, you just energy ray or Sonic Wings and just keep doing that based on the situation. And then once again, EX will get your Valefor back. Gives you a buff. LD gives you a unique buff and cleanses. And you have Asuna to cleanse when you need it. And that's basically it. So anyways, guys, very simple character, very good support though. Does a lot of what you need. Cleanse isn't the most common thing, so the fact that she specializes it is very good. So let me know what you guys think of Yuna. Let me know if you greened her or not. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.